Mokshana ada problem uploading the project. So someone can help her or him at the time.
I texted her actually.
Janani, can you help her, Janani?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Give her a call.
She's having problem using Netlify. So.
Netlify.
Okay, let's start. Nearly accidentally click the close. Can see, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the slide is not really important, but I will just go through that. Can you see if I don't go full screen like that? Can I just leave it like that? Can, right? Okay.
The rest okay,
so,
yeah.
Alright. Okay, so now we are in week 8. So we have to touch a bit of like responsive web design. Okay, before that, right, we always talk about Bootstrap writing, and then like we always mention about Bootstrap, but Bootstrap itself is a responsive web design, a framework for responsive web design. So what is a responsive web design? A responsive web design is a method that make web page render well on different device and screen size. That means this website would adjust the content to fit to your screen size and platform. And if you're using mobile, if you rotate, right, you're based on your orientation also. So responsive website, you will not leave out information to fit to smaller devices. So you will just like rearrange all your text to fit in the screen, not crop away or anything. Okay, quite straightforward. So how do we achieve a responsive web design? A responsive web design is achieved via fluid grid concept. So element sizings are in relative unit like percentage rather than an absolute unit like pixels or point. So it's a fluid grid. Fluid means that you will adapt or change the size based on the screen, like what we say in the previous slide. So flexible image can be achieved in relative unit to prevent them from displaying outside their containing elements. Media queries allow the page to use different CSS styles rules based on characteristics of the device the site is being displayed on, and responsive layout automatically adjust and adapt to any screen size. So this flexible image, like we put the width of the flexible image into percent instead of pixel. Very easy to understand this one. Responsive layout automatically adjust and adapt to any screen size. So quite straightforward. But what is media queries, which I will explain later a bit. So, but before that, let's just go through what is flexible in relative unit. So relative unit is in percentage, like in this CSS, right? You have this image. We have a class img image fluid. The fluid, the fluid itself is like 100%. So like this image will always adjust the size to 100% based on the parent container. Let me drink water.
If you do not understand or unclear about what Mr. Loon explained, please ask or ask question.
Okay.
All right.
Now it's quite straightforward. Now it's
So
like
you understand, right?
We just use percentage. Okay, now media queries. Media queries is a bit confusing. It's another type of like CSS. You see, right? Usually when we write our CSS, we just write like this part only, right? Body background color, like blue. But with media query, we have another, curly bracket that hold the CSS rule. So like in this media queries, right, we have a max width, like when the screen size is like 600 pixels or less, the background body color will change to light blue. So there is a rules of like how big of our, the width of our website, right? When it reach 600 pixels or less, you change all this CSS rule inside between these two curly bracket. In this case, I'm changing it to light blue. So let's quickly show you all that media queries. Let me just Google an example.
Last time, before we have Bootstrap, or what we do, you have to use media query, so that to ensure that our website is fluid or responsive. right? But since we have Bootstrap, sometimes we may not use media query.
Okay, now this is an online example for media queries. You see here, right, it's the same thing that I put in my slide. Originally, the background, can see, right? You all can see, right? The background color is in light green, which is here. But when it's less than 600 pixel, I think, let's see. See, when the screen size is small, right, it changed. It will use these rules instead, the background color. So like when the screen size is small, it will change. So like you can put any CSS between here. Like for this example, right, like maybe let's try to change the font color. This one is a P. Can I just use a P here? Let's change the font color, right? If I'm not. Wait. This one. See, now I put everything inside the paragraph to change to red color when it reach the 600 pixel or less. So when I resize it, the font change to red color. So this is the use of media queries. Media queries is mainly used for different screen devices. So we can also like put like different media queries here because now we have like 600, right? What if we have another one? Maybe like 400, and then let's change it to blue. This one change it to yellow. So this one is light blue, and then in theory it should go to yellow when it's 400 pixels. See, so like with this, right, we can like detect like different screen size and screen resolutions. Right? In our project, sometimes we might need to use this to customize the Bootstrap a bit, but
Probably
I
what you
think,
can do,
yeah,
probably sometimes because you need to change the layout of your website, right? For example, when in normal viewing setting, you have about 3 columns, right? You use display flags to create that 3 column, but and then if the screen setting change to a smaller devices, for example, like 600 pixels, for example, right? You may want to change the display to block again, so that when you resize or when you open your website from smaller devices, it won't become a column anymore. It becomes like a normal box that collapse from top to bottom. Okay, so you can change the setting there. Right.
Okay, let's continue. Okay, so we go through like quickly like the 3 important factor of a responsive web design, which is we have to do the elements in a relative unit using percentage, using media queries, and then a layout that automatically adjusts to adapt to any different screen size. So to do that, right, if you see, we can actually just like write a lot of media queries to do a responsive web design, but that one will take a lot of time. So like people do come out with a lot of library and frameworks that we can use. So Bootstrap itself is one of the responsive web design framework that we can use. So there is a lot, it's not just Bootstrap, there is a lot of other framework. So from what I know, there is Bootstrap, and then there is Foundation, and then there's this simple, which double I. So there's this 3 that I think is the most famous, but I think the most famous is this Bootstrap.
Yeah. Most developer, most web designer, they use Bootstrap to create their website.
Why is the
because I think it's quite comprehensive. The library is complete, right? So when we say Bootstrap, it's basically it's a library of CSS codes, library of HTML code, and library of JavaScript code. So you don't have to really actually type all the code to create certain component or to add certain components in your website. Okay, for example, like if you want to include a carousel, for instance, right? So to write the carousel code is very long and complicated, Okay, but Bootstrap allows you to, you know, to add in that component in your website without having to type the code.
Understand. Okay.
Okay. So Bootstrap, you what? Aside from what Mr. Samso explained, why Bootstrap, like Bootstrap is very complete. It's a very complete framework of like CSS, JavaScript, and HTML. Bootstrap is actually also developed by this famous developer from Twitter. They use their own free trial, and then I think even Twitter is using Bootstrap. So like if you can look up in Wikipedia the history a bit. So I think Google also they have their own mobile framework or something like that, but I don't think it's that famous because Bootstrap is already widely used. So like most people just continue to use Bootstrap, and then there is a lot of online resources that you can learn. So Bootstrap is a very good framework to use. Okay. So Bootstrap itself is a free and open source CSS framework. An open source framework, right? Open source, sorry, this word is that means the source code, right? Which they do for use of Bootstrap, right? You can use for free, and then you can make changes or anything like that. You have the source code fully for free. You don't need to pay anything. That's what they mean by open source. So it's
Yeah.
directed at responsive mobile first front end web development. Front end means what we're doing now, which is HTML, CSS, everything like that. Back end is PHP, we don't do that. So we contain a CSS, JavaScript, template for typography, form, buttons, navigation, and other interface components.
Front end is basically the interface design lah, I would say.
Okay.
All right. Back end is more on like dealing with the engine, you know, server side. We're talking about server side. Okay. Front end is more on client side. Okay. What the client will see.
All right.
All right. So meaning that, in other words, you can copy and paste certain codes. Right. You
Understand.
look,
Yeah.
for example, right, you go and look for how to add a drop-down menu. Okay. You find the a website that have that code. You can copy code and then you paste it in your website. But you need to customize it.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Okay. So in our case, copy and paste is not wrong. Okay. All right.
Okay, I understand. Yeah.
Okay, Loon, sorry, continue.
Okay. I'm eating some vitamin. I hope you don't hurt my chewing sound.
Fine.
Got
Okay,
loud.
okay. Yeah, Mr. Loon is not actually well because he got problem last semester. Last 2 semesters, well, Loon.
Yeah.
Last 2 semesters. Okay.
Yeah.
Hope you get
So
Yeah,
I've
and
shared this
yesterday,
link. Yeah, I've shared this link in Google Classroom, and I also post a new link as well. You can check it out later.
CSS layout, isn't it?
Yeah, for those who still got problem with the exercises, layout exercises, you can look at this tutorial.
Okay.
The Learn Layout website.
All right.
Mm.
All right. So
Okay, Lun, continue.
okay. So now, where do we download Bootstrap? Which is in this URL, the official website. So I can close this now. You just don't open your Dreamweaver to follow what I do. Just listen first.
all right.
Okay.
Okay.
So when you first came to this website, right, you will see this two button. This is what we call the call to action, right? A lot of you confused about what is call to action, and then sometimes you put it below. See, when we come to here, it's either we click get start and download. This is
Okay,
the
and
call to
then
action.
see why is it get started is in purple and download is not in purple?
Because they
What
want
does
to
it mean?
get started.
Yes, they want the
Yeah.
user to click the get started first before you download.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you can persuade your
Highlight.
user or tell or inform your user.
Mm.
Okay.
Yep. So if you see, right, there is like you can change the version here. So the latest is 4.5. I think last year, the last semester is still 4 something like that.
Yeah,
So there is like
4.17
something new that
additional.
me and Mr. Sam show that I missed out.
Mm.
So we're going to use the 4.5. And then I think inside Dreamweaver, they're just using the 4.0. So there might be some difference, but it still can be used, don't worry. So let's click the get started here, which what the website want us to do, okay. So you see here, right, how do we set up? You see a lot of instruction, like what should we do, like to start using Bootstrap. Okay, in Bootstrap, right, there is like 3 elements that we need to include in our own HTML. This is the CSS, the first one, the Bootstrap CSS library. The second one is the JavaScript library. And then the third one which they didn't put it here. It's in the viewport meta tag. You have to put this in. So what do we do? Like, let's start a new HTML. Let me close this one first. Just create a new HTML. You save first.
Remember, guys, every time when you start a new file, HTML file, make sure you save your file first before you add the link or JavaScript link or CSS link from Bootstrap. Okay, otherwise it will not work.
Add the link, right? Until you save it. Actually.
Yes.
So now I have a basic HTML which doesn't have anything. So like what I mentioned just now, right? To use Bootstrap, we need these three elements. The first thing is a CSS. So you can just like copy, click here, copy. And then where do we put our CSS? Between the head, right?
In the head section, yeah.
Yeah, in the head, between the head. So we just put it here. This is a CSS. Let's just Bootstrap CSS. Okay. Then the next thing is the JavaScript. The JavaScript is needed because like sometimes when we use the Bootstrap components, right, like the carousel is the banner that they will slide the image. So just copy that first. And then where do we put our JavaScript? Let's imagine we have a lot of contents, right? We always place our JavaScript just right before the body tag. Remember, we always do that. So like this one is this tip, right, is shared in Google, like it's encouraged to put all our JavaScript right before this tag. Yeah. Because like how a web page render in browser, right? The website, right, the browser usually will load sequentially. It's like you will load, I mean like from this here, right, you see the browser will load this thing first and then like this thing. So this JavaScript, right, might be very big, the file size. If you put it in the beginning, right, our web page, right, will load here and then like, you will start here and then you didn't see the content. So it's much more better that we let our website to load all the content first, then only load this JavaScript.
Yeah.
Right.
Because sometimes JavaScript is quite heavy and it'll take some longer time to to load the script. And some more you're loading a library of script. Okay.
Yeah. So now we have these two elements. The third element, which is the
meta type.
The meta type, which is this one, the meta viewport. This one is important also. Like we have to put it in the meta here. Like you have this original like meta 8. So let's put it here. So with these three important elements, right, we basically already set up our HTML to use Bootstrap elements. Like okay, but if you see the page, right, they already give you a starter template. So in theory, we can just like copy this one and paste everything in there. So just now I'm just showing you the three elements. So you don't miss out the thing like the CSS, the JavaScript, and then the meta tag. So I think I'm just going to copy this one also. Because this one, I think is similar. Yeah, similar.
Okay. So what did Mr. Lun did just now? He copy and paste and replace the code that he did just now.
Yep. It's the same thing, but this one is much more tidy. All right. So with this, I mean like we can save this one. If we view, right, there's nothing. We are not using any Bootstrap element yet because we just have Hello World inside here.
So, right.
So
and
let's continue.
Did you notice that the typeface is different already? It's not using Times New Roman. Right?
Yep, you see.
It's not using Times New Roman anymore. By default, if you start a new HTML document, so without changing any font, you will basically use Times New Roman, right? But Bootstrap, they already changed that because to them, Times New Roman is an ugly typeface. Okay, continue. Hey, if you don't understand, please ask us in between.
Yeah, you can stop me because sometimes I teach very fast.
Okay, so I might be a stupid question. I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
What's the difference between JavaScript and CSS?
Okay, JavaScript is a scripting language. CSS is is for using for layout or design,
styling
anything like that.
Yeah, JavaScript is
styling
more
is
it's more like adding like animation, you know. It add more interactivity in your website.
Okay.
CSS, you can say it's a programming language, but because it's a script, right? That's why I'm calling it a scripting language. You can use JavaScript to make games, so but obviously you cannot make games, develop games using CSS.
Okay, so
That's the
CSS is
main
more like
difference.
the look of it, but JavaScript
Yes,
is
correct.
Yeah, the look, the
activity.
layout. Yeah, CSS and HTML is for layout, right?
Alright. Okay. Alright.
JavaScript
Okay.
is more adding interactivity in your website.
Understand. Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Who's this one? Okay. So I think next we'll have to move on to one very important concept of like Bootstrap. Okay. Okay, for Bootstrap, like this one, I think I might need to explain using
Remember.
my Photoshop first.
Oh, okay.
I need to draw something.
And remember in my class, right? In last week, I guess I posted a sample layout design using grid. All right. So you can relate this with what Mr. Luing is doing. Okay.
So when we use Bootstrap, let me just rotate this one. When we use Bootstrap, we usually have this one div, which we call we use the container class. So div, we don't need div. We all know it's div. The class is called container. It's a built-in class. It's already written in the Bootstrap framework.
Okay.
So we can define a div, the outer div. And then we usually need another div. Let's just change the color, which is the row container. The row, I think in last time they have the row container. In the latest version, they already removed that. But even though they removed that, we still need that to properly arrange our column.
Okay.
So we just define ourselves. We can just write ourselves. So we have a row container. I mean like a container and row. And then the last one is the column. So let's just change the red color. Column itself, like its name, we can have multiple columns in one row. So in this way, we can arrange our content much more
tidier and neater. Because last time,
neat,
how we create column is by using separate element, right? And then we change the display using either float or using display flags, right? But in Bootstrap, it's slightly different on how to add column, right? They use the grid system, which is the 12 grid system, which Mr. Loon will explain to you.
Yep, I will explain in a while, but I just want you all to remember the hierarchy first. Because if you don't remember this hierarchy, you cannot use Bootstrap effectively. So whatever content we use, right, we have to remember it's always, most of the time, it's always like this. Right? You see, right, we have an outer container which hold everything, and then we have like different row which is like whole different. In our project, right, we call it section, right? So this one is the sections, and then this one is the side or the content, or like we have different columns. So like you see, right, in the row we can have like different columns. Like here we have 4 columns. This part we have like 3. This one we have 2. So in Bootstrap grid system, right, a column, right, the width, right, this width, let me change here, right, you will add up 12, a number. You just have to remember this number, 12.
They're using 12 column grid. So 12 column grid equivalent to 100%.
Okay, noted. All right.
Remember, guys?
You have to remember this number.
Remember that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But
So
why, you might be asking, like, why
12 column, not 15?
why don't other number, why why don't we just put 10? 10 is like 100%, right? Or why don't we just put 100%? It's much more easier, right?
Yeah, actually.
Can anyone guess?
Mm.
Do a guess like why 12?
Why 12? This is like a mathematical question.
It's 100 there, like 12.
The answer also it sounds like mathematical, but very simple. Very good, Kai.
Have you got the question?
How can we
mean,
divide
Kai
by
said you can divide by 3.
Correct.
Correct.
Because 12 itself is the number that we can divide by 3. So if you see, right, we have four columns here, right?
Lun. Maybe let Kai explain why she give the answer.
Okay.
Kai,
Yeah.
Kai, can you explain why you said that?
Hey, I hope she's not regretting.
Because usually on the layout, right?
Cannot hear
The column. Hello?
Yeah.
Because usually on the layout, they have the columns like divided into 3 or 4. So 10 cannot divide by 3 equally.
Correct.
So
So you need to have like even number. For example, like if you use 10, if you 10 divide by 3, you got like 90 point something, right? Correct. Is it? Sorry, 33.3.
Yeah.
33.
Yeah. If you choose
3.333.
100, you become 33.3. So if you choose 12, you divide by 3, you got
4.
4. Okay, if you divide 2, you got 6. Okay, and so on. That's the reason why they use 12.
Why can it be 15, sir? 15 also divisible by 3, what?
12 is the smallest number
Yeah.
you don't need 15. No?
Yeah.
But 15 can divide by 2.
Cannot.
15 cannot be divided by 2. You'll become 7.5.
7.5, yeah. 7.5.
Oh.
You need to have
12 is the number that you can divide, yeah.
So it's like a golden ratio lah. If you learn the golden ratio, you would probably understand. Okay, the Fibonacci sequence.
So 12, right, is correct. Like what Kai explained, 12 is the number that can be divided by 4, which will become 3. So, and then when we divide by 3, right, it'll be 4, 4, 4. The column size, we will specific in the CSS. I mean, like HTML, I'll show later. And then like sometimes if we have two that is same, right, it will be 6, 6. But now if you see, right, I have this column that is bigger than this one. This one could be an image, right? So this one maybe just 3, and then this one we can put 9. So total will be 12 again. So we have a bigger column by just putting the number.
Those numbers is basically will be identified in the class later. All right.
I don't understand what that means, sir.
You'll see how easy to use later. Yeah, don't worry. You just like remember the total.
Remember this number.
The total is 12, and then like when we do this, remember this hierarchy: the container first, and then the row, and then the column.
Container. Okay,
right. Let me just save this one. I don't know whether you will need that, but let me just save first.
Okay, thank you.
Dude, later what we can do, we can ask them to create a layout using Bootstrap lah. We see whether they understand or not.
Yep. I think the in-class exercise we can do exercise for this container. Before I show you all to use the components, right?
Yeah, before we start to ask them to use the component, we let them design the layout first. Yeah.
Do the grid, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to Bootstrap. So now we have this basic Bootstrap grid, right? And then I need to further explain the grid first before we start writing our HTML. If we look at this page, right, the container, just now I mentioned container, right? Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Last time, right, I think v4.0 or something like that, we only have this first container.
Oh, okay.
And then now, because it's 4.5, right, we have like container for different size. See, we have like container fluid, XL, which is extra large, large, medium, SM.
Okay.
So what is this thing?
Guy, can you explain what is that? What is SM? What is MD? What is LG? What is XL? I think everyone can understand.
Small, medium, large.
Extra large.
Yep, it's already here. Yep. So you
Correct.
see, right?
Because
This one.
remember, because we have for desktop viewport, you have several different resolution. Correct.
Yeah.
You have large. You have like 1920 resolution. You have 1200, 1300, 1080. So which to choose? If you use absolute measurement or unit, it's difficult for you to set the width, right? In order for everyone to open your website. So if you use a relative website, a relative value like this, it's easier for you to design your website. Okay, all right. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so last time I think the old version, I think even in the Dreamweaver, if you use the Dreamweaver version, you only have this one and the container flood. So now they have like add on like a few more options for us to use. If you see here, extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, what does this mean, right? You see, right? If you use this container, if you use this class, which is something like here, when the screen size is 576 pixel or smaller, the container will become 100%. So like everything, I think everything, all this container class, right, will become 100% when it's smaller than this one. But if you go to this smaller screen size, right, it's bigger than 576. You see, right? This, if you use this class, this thing will become 100%. I mean, like this few MD, LG, XL, and Flood, you'll be 100%, like taking up the whole screen size. And then, but these two, right, container and container SM, right, the small devices, the width will be only like 540 pixels. It's confusing right here. Doesn't matter. Later we will see this example, which is easier to understand. So if you go through everything here, right, it's just it just shows us that when our container will adjust the size based on the screen sizes. So if you see this fluid, right, it's always 100%. It always take up the whole screen size. The XL, right, when it's extra large, right, when it's like 992 pixel like that, you'll be 100%. When it's extra large, you only maintain like 1140 pixels.
That's the
So if
maximum width lah.
Yeah, the maximum you'll go to lah. So if you see here, right, this part, you can see, right, if you double check here, the container flood will be always 100%. So if you see here, which this one is the container flood.
It will take out the whole.
Yeah.
It will take out the whole width.
Understand.
It doesn't
Okay.
matter how we resize. Like you will always like 100. You see, right? You see this XL, LG, they will change.
I hope everyone is listening and watching this video. Do not skip or do not go to toilet for now. All right. Although we have a video recording, but I still want you guys to sit in front of the screen and look at what we are trying to explain. Okay. We're not going to repeat. Okay. You can view the video later. All right. Okay, Lun.
Yep. You will see, right, when I resize, you jump a bit, right? You see the thing, you jump. So that means you already reached the next, I think it's called a break point. Yeah, it's called a break point. So like, yep, you reached the break point. So just now it was like here, right? Now it's like 1140 pixels. When I resize it smaller, everything here, you will change to this 960 pixels.
Right.
So you automatically adjust based on the size. See? So can understand. So like when you reach this part, right, you see this part is already like some MD, LG, and XL. MD, LG, XL. See, it's 100% when it reach like 576 pixels. Right? Sorry, click the wrong thing. So
Lun,
this content, yes.
Lun, maybe in between we can stop so that I can stop recording, and then I can upload the video later. So that the
Should I
video
stop
will
now
not.
or the column?
What is
Continue
the
column?
Yeah, we will discuss about column, then we're gonna stop. Then I'm gonna upload the video.
I just quickly go through the column. So we have just now when we look at our Photoshop, right, we have the container, right? Just now we have like container fluid, container XL, everything, right? So we put that in our class. And then the next thing is the column. The row, we doesn't have a class for that now. You just can use a div. So but we just need to put them together. I mean like the column in a row only. So we don't have a specific class for
Class
the row.
name.
So yeah, class name.
Okay.
So now look at the grid. The grid also have the same. The grid itself. Yep.
Go back.
Huh?
Go back to the layout just now. Okay, guys, you can, if you notice that the purple text, right? These are all class names. Huh? Just to remind you, these are all class names. So when you add div, you can give a class name for this container SM, container MD. Or in Dreamweaver, when you want to start a website, you can there's a function or feature under insert that you can insert Bootstrap component. Later we're gonna explain that again.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yep. Later we will start the Dreamweaver session. Now I'm just going through the explanation first.
Okay.
So now we have the container, right? The next thing is the column. So the column, right? The grid columns. So the grid itself, right? If you see, just now I explained is a 12 number, right? So we have like this 12, 12, 12. Let's just quickly see. Okay, now the grid itself, right? We also like this COL, SM, COL, MD, COL, LG, XL, and then like we have a numbering in the end. So I think this part is a bit confusing if you look at here. So I think we have to go to this example they have. So just now we have like COL4. This one, we just type it in our Dreamweaver. We can just like straight away type this thing in the class. And then like if you want to divide our column into three, right, we just put COL-4 or COL-SM4. You see here, right, we have like SM, MD, LG, and XL, which is same as the container. This thing, right, this middle part, right, it determines when this column will collapse. So like, let's quickly test the thing so you understand. You see, right, all is like, because we divide into three column, all is 4 number. When the screen size is big, right, all will still have like 3 column. But when we resize, see, this extra large, right, is the first that collapsed. See, it
becomes
break down.
one. It becomes row now.
Yeah. So because this one, we tell that is only 3 column when the screen size is extra large. So now because I already resized it, becomes smaller, right? The screen size, our website is not extra large anymore. So now it break down.
Okay,
So
what determines the size and whatnot is basically the library that you copy and paste into your HTML file. Remember, we copy the CSS, right? So that CSS basically have a lot of codes that change the style of the Bootstrap. So we don't have to worry about what size I have to set and whatnot. You just need to remember the class name. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. So far, understand, guys?
Yeah.
The rest.
I mean, the concept still understand, right? Later we will do Dreamweaver, then you understand easier.
Better. Okay.
Okay, now if we continue resize, right, you see the last LG also collapse. So you might be asking, so which one do we use? Like COL-4, SM4, MD4, LG4. This one is like based on our content. Like I assume, like not assume, but I think usually for extra large, right, you can use for text. So imagine you have a lot of text you can put in this 3 column, right? So when it resize smaller, right, your text is still
readable.
I think readable in your typography class. You need to have how many text in one line, right? Because if you use this at COL4, right, you see when the screen size is smaller, we can't really read. It's like there's only like maybe 3 words in one row, something like that. So it depends on your content, like which one you want to use, right? So to divide, now we've seen this is divide equally. How about if you want to divide it non-equally, so like we can use a different number, which I just now I show in the Photoshop also. So like to add, the number is always add up to 12. So this one, in this example, it shows like 8 and 4, which is 12. So we can have like the middle part also bigger. So it's 6, 3, 3. So 3, 6 is 9, 9 plus 3 is 12.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Understand that part? guys.
Right.
Okay, Noon, stop job.
Okay, stop.
Can we see videos of your face? I'm gonna stop the video.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop the video recording. All right, so that I can upload this video.